the... Yeah, I did click the button. Okay.
It's just being... Oh, yep, sorry. Start.
There we go. What's up, guys? If you even watched these videos, but this is episode 6, and it is 15 weeks late. That's an exaggeration. More like 14.
Wow.
Episode 6 is... we haven't done this in 3 weeks.
3 or 4, yeah.
Or 5, 6, 7, 20.
Just go.
But hey,
just go.
Hey, the
just
important thing is that we're back for who knows how long. And I think obviously it's from the title, it's a Star Wars podcast today. And even though the Clone Wars ended a while ago, we were planning on doing a podcast talking about the Clone Wars in general, but we didn't do it. So we're doing it now. Now that the show is complete, we can talk about it in its entirety. And I guess we could start off by talking about Ahsoka's journey, which, what a character arc, right?
Oh yeah.
I think like the biggest thing for me with that character is Ahsoka Tano, for me at least, started out as like when I watched the Clone Wars as a kid. No, when my grandpa took me to the theater and we watched the Clone Wars movie, she walked out of that Republic, whatever ship, I cannot remember the specific name. Holy crap. Whatever it's called. She just walked out and I was like, I don't like her. And
Really?
I was an idiot kid, but she walked out, I was like, okay, whatever. Annoying child. And then she, eventually grew up, as you continue to watch her more, I just didn't like her, and then I began to like her more until eventually she is like my favorite character in the Clone Wars, or it just in most of actually anything. She's one of my favorite characters, period. So part of that problem was because as a kid, watching just in Star Wars in general, you'd look at like young Anakin and be like, okay, he's not my favorite either, but like he's a kid, So for one thing, that was a lot of my problem because I'm an idiot, but I don't know. Ahsoka's a very interesting character.
Yeah, you and a lot of other people did not like her. They thought she was annoying and scrappy-doo and just kind of, she just bothered Anakin. And I think a lot of people also thought maybe it was a little weird seeing Anakin with a Padawan, and maybe some people thought, well, doesn't that mean he's a master? Or like, does that take away from the whole thing in Revenge of the Sith where he's not made a master or whatever? So, which, was Obi-Wan a knight or a master in episode 2?
He was still a Padawan in episode 2.
He was a Padawan in episode 1.
No, he wasn't.
Obi-Wan?
Oh, we're talking... Oh, sorry, I'm talking about the movies.
Yeah, Anakin was a Padawan in episode 2.
Obi-Wan.
Oh, Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Obi-Wan was a knight.
In 2.
Yeah, he freaking killed Darth Maul. Supposedly.
I thought he was a Padawan in episode 1.
He was a Padawan in episode 1.
Episode 1, knight in number 2.
He was a master in 2, yeah.
A master in 2?
Didn't they make him a master? He was on the council.
He was on the council in 3.
He was not on the council in 2.
That's awkward.
Let's figure this out.
Do we ever see like the council in 2? Do they ever like stand in front of the council? Because I think knights can take Padawans. I mean, obviously Anakin does.
Well, originally it was supposed to be Obi-Wan's Padawan.
That's right. So is Anakin the only knight to ever have a Padawan?
Okay. Here are the members of the Jedi Council in episode 2. Say 10. Oh my gosh. Evan Peel, Caddy Mundy, Adigalia, Coleman Trevor, our good man Coleman Trevor.
RIP.
Plo Koon, Depa Bileba, I said that wrong. Malaba, Yoda, Mace Windu, Eth Koth, Opo Rancisis, and Shakti. Obi-Wan was not a member of the council.
But you could be a master and be on the council, right? I mean, no. Sorry,
And not
you
be a
could
member
be a
of the
master
council.
and not.
Well, yeah,
But Anakin does
but there were
say,
also
"How
four
can you
different-
be on the council and not be a master?"
exactly, because it was usually the reverse, right? But there were also 4 different Jedi councils.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Obi-Wan was just a knight in 2.
Yeah.
That's how I think of it, at least. I mean, if anyone knows, then
Let's pull up
comment
Wikipedia.
below. We've only gotten like 3 comments, and they were all Matt, except for one.
Wikipedia.
Most of them are Matt.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What a dude.
He's a guy. He's such a great guy.
He's actually kind of a butt in 2.
He's kind of a jerk in 2.
In Jorzar, possibly. We came here to rescue you. Good job.
Yeah, exactly, because Kenobi defeated the Sith Lord Darth Maul and was awarded the status of Jedi Knight in 32 BBY. In 22 BBY, the Jedi railed to defend the Galactic Republic against... He became a general in 22 BBY. So this is not helpful.
So was he a knight in the Clone Wars?
Yes, but he might have actually been a master by that point.
Did they make him a master because of his battle with Dooku and the whole start of the Clone Wars? They needed more Jedi Masters.
Also, Coleman Trevor died, so there was an empty seat.
Yeah, excuse any like audio weird things, you guys. We got the Ryan, this boy's in a hotel, so you can expect how great the Wi-Fi is there.
To be fair, my audio quality is never great anyway, so
That's true.
there's a lot more that I forget about with Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I don't know. But back to Ahsoka, she's just like she's the prime example of taking a character that is disliked and making her good. But they already had planned that she was gonna get good. Like the annoying part was not the actress. It was not her fault. Like that she didn't just make her annoying. It was the plan from the beginning. They wanted to take this character.
Which I think is like a lot of like the problem that I think a lot of people might have had with like the sequels is that like some of those characters at first might have been kind of annoying, but they weren't given time to people to like them, you know?
Mm-hmm. And like Rey's not, she's not super annoying. Well, I don't know. Like I like her in 7. And I wanted to see her grow, but she didn't grow all that much. But Ahsoka grew like so much. There are so many arcs and episodes that are just dedicated to her learning things and just becoming better. Like the arc where she gets captured by the Trandoshans, is like forced to be hunted down, and she like leads all these other people, and she like learns to rely on her training, and that like they were kind of being suppressed, and she kind of came in and was the driving force of their escape, because the other Padawans' plan in that was just to hide. They had the designated spot that if needed they would move, and they just their goal was to survive. But Ahsoka came and was like, no, I'm gonna escape, and you're coming with me because you can't live like this and all this stuff.
Well, I think that's one of the interesting things like about Ahsoka is that she comes into the Clone Wars, being trained by, from an early age, gone through some of the training with Yoda and all the things that happens to a youngling. But then she's pretty quickly learning that maybe all the things I've been taught are not exactly the way. Immediately, as soon as like she's told or like given to Anakin to help teach her, you know, she learns that like, you know, to think out of the box, and, you know, to think a little bit less conventionally, you know. So I think it's like really interesting, like that moment where Anakin's sitting with Ahsoka, being like, "You never have made it with Obi-Wan as your teacher, but you might just make it as mine." Because I
Yeah.
think that's so true. Because she needed someone, really like Anakin needed someone, you know, when you think about it, who thought out
Yeah.
of the box more as Qui-Gon did, because she was getting more of a Qui-Gon side of the teaching that than, you know, because Obi-Wan was a little bit more principled, which, I mean, to be fair, he was still quite a bit of a rebel, but which is why he was given a
Yeah.
Qui-Gon as a Padawan. But I think she was getting more of the Qui-Gon from the line of training down, you know. I don't know. I just think it's interesting that like she was given a lot more unconventional stuff, which has led to her eventually, you know, not just leaving the order, but like questioning a lot of the own ways. Because I feel like there's just so many similarities between her and Qui-Gon Jinn.
Hmm. There's the episode where she is like tasked her first like mission of leading a squad of pilots like to try and break a blockade, and she totally messes up. She gets her whole squad killed and she freaks out, and then I think it's either the same episode or the next episode that Anakin has to he trusts her with like the power to come up with the plan, and he trusts her enough to follow through, which, you know, you don't know if he was actually trusting her, but maybe he's just telling her that he trusts her to help her believe in herself. Because ultimately, I think that's a lesson that a lot of us can learn is that, you know, we don't need to rely on other people's trust all the time, or we can do things ourselves. But of course, if you need help, that's not a problem. But, you know, he taught her to just trust her instincts and just allow her to, you know, come up with a plan. I think she came up with the idea to like flip the cruiser so its belly was flying towards the enemies and kind of being a shield or something. I need to watch the episodes again. There's a couple, I think it was like a season 1 or 2 episodes, and a lot of people underestimate season 1 episodes, which some of them are pretty dang good, even though if you compare it to the rest of the seasons, they're not amazing, but they're really good.
Well, that's what I love about just like the amount of trust that immediately is given to Ahsoka, and like she develops her own viewpoints on everything, and just her own like self-reliance, you know, which I think, well, I
Yeah.
mean, look at like when they're raiding the Citadel, you know, she wasn't supposed to be there at all, but like Anakin, like the minute like they get up there, they're climbing the wall, and they're pointing up to like the top, and she's like, well, how are we supposed to get in there now? It wasn't in the plan that there was going to be droids right there guarding, and she's like, well, there's like an air duct right there. I could fit in there. And like that wasn't part of the plan. Well, neither was Ahsoka, you know. And so she goes up and does her
Yep.
thing, and they get in, you know. And so immediately she's learning herself about her own self-reliance and her ability to not only learn and like, but her own ability to like take control, and that she, you know, she can be trusted not just by the Jedi but by everyone else. So I think especially when you get to like season 5 and she feels very trusted, you know, because look at the beginning of the episode where the arc where they're looking for the Jedi who blew up the temple, you know, she freaking saves Anakin, you know, as the
Hmm.
arc 170 like fighters are like crashing as the buzz droids take him down. She saves Anakin, you know, takes him out of the crash. You know, she feels very trusted, but not just by Anakin, but probably by the rest of the order, you know. So coming into that arc after that, I think is a very interesting choice because she's saving Anakin. So to have her then be questioned as one of the ones who'd done the bombing and done all of it would shake her faith in the order completely, you know?
I think what was interesting is Ahsoka learned pretty similarly to Anakin, because like she was a Padawan and she came and was immediately thrown into combat, immediately thrown into all of the action and everything, just right then and there, which was very similar to Anakin. And it's kind of interesting if you see their arcs, they have ups and downs and everything, and you get to kind of follow along with them. But I just love how kind of everything in the entire Star Wars series kind of revolves around, like, it all ties back into Anakin's growth and fall, and then coming back to to redeem himself. For instance, like Maul and Grievous and Dooku are all like different versions of Darth Vader. One's a cyborg, one's a fallen Jedi, the other one has intense hate and anger. And it's just, and then on the other side, you've got Ahsoka, who is very similar to Anakin, who is just thrown into combat immediately, has to think on her feet, has to do all of these things. And yes, it's because Anakin is her master, but she turns out differently than Anakin does,
I think
because there's this support around her. And of course Anakin has it too, but he looks for support. He gets more support from the Chancellor and takes that over the other ones, because
yeah.
Ahsoka has support from Obi-Wan, has support from Anakin, has support from Captain Rex, and
Padme.
troopers respect her. Yeah, and Padme. And troopers respect her because of what she did.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is what Obi-Wan said to Anakin on Christophsis. It actually might have been Teth, but just teach her everything I taught you, and she'll turn out fine. You know, I mean, I think it's interesting because the more I think about it, Ahsoka parallels with Anakin so much because they both sort of have a fall away from the Order, but they also have a very strong parallel with both Anakin, with Mace Windu, with how Mace Windu treated both of them. Because when you think about it, Mace Windu had a lot of disrespect towards Anakin, with the whole Jedi Master and trusting him about the Chancellor and all that, you know, and which of course might have been nearing to change at the end. But looking at Mace Windu's relationship to Ahsoka at the end, you know, they built up so much trust with what they thought they had with Mace Windu. You know, they thought they both had trust, you know, and that they'd done enough to prove themselves to be worthy. But at the end of the line, she'd gone off and made her own decisions, yes, but you'd think Mace Windu would have had a little bit more respect for her at the very end when he turns to her and says, "These matters are for the council, citizen," you know. I mean, there's a very separate parallel arc right there, you know.
Yeah. Freaking base, dude. Like, he could have, just said, like, sorry, these are matters for the council only, instead of being like, sorry, citizen. Like, earlier, I think they were wanting to have her in the loop, but when she said, I'm technically only a citizen, then Mace, for some reason, decided to be super passive aggressive and just be like, sorry, citizen. Like, goodness, man, chill out.
It shows what the problem was um with Mace Windu. He was a major problem in the Jedi Order because they'd come complacent with the power. I'll have to find the quote of what. Oh, here it is. So this is what, like, Count Dooku in the
love this.
novel said
I love
about,
this.
like, the Jedi Order's problem is Yoda. No being can wield that kind of power for centuries without becoming complacent at best or corrupt at worst. He has no idea that it's overtaken him. He no longer um, sees all the little cumulative evils that the Republic tolerates and fosters. From slavery to endless wars, he never asks, why are we not acting to stop this? Live alongside corruption for too long, and you are no longer notice the stench. The Jedi cannot help the slaves of Tatooine, but they can help the slave masters. Like, you get to see that throughout the entire Clone Wars. And I think, like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't the biggest fan of Ahsoka's the 3 Ahsoka episodes where she's with the the sisters, but it shows that if the Jedi were fulfilling the job that they needed to be, that wouldn't have happened.
Well, I think it shows like the difference between the Jedi who were raised in the Clone Wars and brought up inside like the actual war that was happening versus, I guess you could call them, the old hats who had just been messing around with politics for too long and even just viewed the Clone Wars as nothing but politics and, just trying to get things out of the way or done, because the kids, well, the young Jedi especially, I mean, you can include Anakin in this too, probably Obi-Wan because of his training with Qui-Gon, but I mean, they viewed the war as a problem, not just of politics and, let's win the war and get it out of the way, but let's win the war and help the people, You could see that in Ahsoka from the beginning, And I think a
Yeah,
lot of that came from Anakin.
yeah. Anakin, all he wants to do is help people, but he's just got an interesting way of going about it. He thinks that if he goes on a murderous rampage, he can help people. If he kills the slavers on that one planet that was enslaved to Togruta, in his mind he saved them, and he doesn't really give a crap about killing all the slavers because they're the problem and they should die because he doesn't think about
Well,
diplomatic solutions.
I mean, you also think about like Ahsoka, when they're walking through the desert with, the Hutt kid, Jabba's son,
Jabba's son.
And she realizes, and she's finding out more about Anakin, finding out that he was not only raised on Tatooine but as a slave. Seeing that relationship with Anakin gave her a lot more respect for him. But I think when you also see that, you see like, I mean, all of us, we know why Anakin hates the slavers because he's seen. I mean, there's a book I have. I don't even know if it's canon anymore, but like it's Anakin and his mom, like they're going through like a transport, whatever, before they arrive at Mos Espa, and there's a slave who tries to break free, and there are little bombs inside their heads, and they mention this in the Phantom Menace. But if they tried to escape, he mentions that in the movie, but watching him experience that in the book, watching that guy just die right there, and the slave master's laughing at that, you can see why he'd be angry,
Yeah. Which, like, I know, like, the original trilogy of movies, they're amazing, and I love them, and I think, obviously, the original trilogy has the best movies, but I do think the prequel era is the best, like, era of story, if that makes sense, because even though the movies aren't, like, the best, they aren't bad, like people say, they aren't really that bad, which, I love them, but I can understand that why some people may not enjoy them as much because they're not the most well-made movies.
But they're also not like the originals in a lot of ways.
I know, but the stories of the prequel era are amazing. And like, you watch the original trilogy, you see this empire, and you think, maybe you have that little thought of, I wonder how this empire came to be. But the way that it's explained how it came to be in the prequel era is genius. It's so genius. And then Clone Wars the show just adds so much to that because like you even though original trilogy has Rebels now, it doesn't add as much as Clone Wars did to the entire story of Anakin.
Well, I think it's interesting seeing, like, without that final Ahsoka, well, what would have been like the final Ahsoka arc before we got season 7, that last arc of season 5 where she is accused of treachery, then eventually leaves the Order. Without that arc, I honestly believe that Ahsoka not only would have been on the front lines, who knows, she might have been killed in Order 66, but she would have been on the front lines, and then, like, pretty much alongside Luke fighting the Empire, eventually. But after that, she still fought the Empire, but she was doing it on a much more individual basis because she understood it wasn't always about fighting the big, huge fight. It was about the smaller, she had such a deeper connection to the Force, which is what I find about like Qui-Gon as well.
Yeah, the moment when she's fighting the Inquisitors and Rebels and just like kneels down and just kind of lets the Force flow through her, and then she just grabs the Inquisitor's lightsaber and just turns it off and like throws it away. It's like you can't beat that. Like, sure, Sith may be more powerful with the dark side. They can overpower you with lightning, Force choke, just an immense power. But a Jedi who flows with the Force could beat any Sith because the Force calms their mind.
There was the who is it? Darth. He's the one from the helmet. He comes back and he's got like the helmet that like takes over whoever wears it or whatnot. Momid, yeah.
Yeah.
And he came back and he was like fighting Darth Vader, and he's like, the reason you fail is because you bend the Force's will. If you would allow it to like bend you, you would be so much more powerful. And that's the problem with the dark side of the Force, is like if you let it bend, then it'll just take you over and whatnot. But if you let the Force change you,
Well, I think
and let it flow through you, you become powerful because of the Force, not so much because you're using it to your advantage. You're using it in like kind of harmony with you.
Well, I think
and,
that's Anakin's downfall. I mean, aside from Darth Vader, but like Anakin, he would feel like that is, slavery. I mean, he doesn't like being controlled. He needs to be in control. Not that he wants to be the slaver, but he doesn't like submitting. So that part of patience, which is I think is so interesting at the end of like in Revenge of the Sith, nearing the end of Anakin's arc. He's the one telling Obi-Wan to be patient because he's actually nearing the point where he's overcome all that, but then he's proved wrong by all the other Jedi. So, well, rather he proves them wrong. So,
yeah, I know, like, I don't know how Disney feels about the Gray Jedi thing. Like, it seems like they have a weird kind of aversion to it, and maybe they shouldn't be called Gray Jedi or have some other name, but like there are people in the Star Wars universe that you can't deny that use the Force differently from a Jedi, at least in the prequel era, and use it differently from a like dark side. Like maybe these people aren't Gray Jedi, they're just true Jedi. Like
Bendu.
not to be like joking about Lego Star Wars, but they achieved true Jedi. Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi, I think that's when he becomes a true Jedi.
well, look at Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
When he's fighting Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, at that last reflector field is in the way, and he's just panting angry, and I guess that's kind of why he defeated Darth Maul in the end anyways. But Qui-Gon, he gets down on his knees and it's just pure Zen,
Yeah. And maybe Qui-Gon died on purpose. That could have been. I mean, that's just theory stuff right there. But like characters like Jolie Bindo and Ahsoka and Qui-Gon, they just have a different vibe, and people may point at that vibe and be like, "Oh, that's a great Jedi." What if it's just what a Jedi's supposed to do? What if that's what a Jedi is? What if all the Jedi of the prequel era are gray Jedi because they're kind of slipping towards the dark? They're not letting the Force guide them. They're not like controlling it with anger. They're just kind of, using their own judgments instead of just letting the Force guide their actions.
There's too
at
many
least most of their actions.
There's too many guidelines and like playbooks, I guess you could say, of like, no, this is right, this is wrong. Okay, also remember politics. Okay, I guess we gotta do the soldier thing of okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, whatever. Instead of an actual like monastery. I mean, by the prequel era, like the Jedi Temple doesn't feel like a monastery. There's too much system. If that
feels like a base of operations.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was having a discussion with someone, I think in my family, and I wasn't exactly sure what a Jedi Sentinel was. I remember a short description, so I went and kind of looked up more. And Jedi Sentinels are the ones with the yellow lightsabers. In the old canon, they were the yellow, and Consular was green. Guardians were blue, and Sentinels were the Jedi that would go out like into the outer rim, just in the middle of nowhere, or just like maybe to Mos Espa or Mos Eisley or something, and they would kind of be like old Ben. They would be sort of a hermit, but would come to help if anyone needed like help. So they would solve diplomatic issues too. Like if two like big families in that area were having a fight, the Jedi would come between and solve it peacefully. and maybe even violently if they needed to have their lightsaber, because Sentinels are just there to just be guards. They're just there to watch. They seek out the dark, but they also just kind of protect people on a smaller scale. They just sit around and if they notice there's a problem, they go in and help, much like a vigilante or something. So.
I think the moment for me that Ahsoka became a true Jedi was similar to Luke when he tosses the lightsaber aside. Was saying, "I won't like to Palpatine. I won't kill my father." Is not just the minute that she pushes away like her Padawan braid from Anakin, but the minute that she looks at her lightsaber and drops it because she has to move on. I feel like that's the moment for me that she has become a true Jedi.
Which, like, she gets lightsabers later, but that doesn't distract from the idea that she drops her Clone Wars lightsabers, the ones Anakin remade for her, the ones that she used to destroy hundreds and thousands of battle droids and maybe even some people. I mean, she cut off like 4 Mandalorian heads with them. So she just drops it, and like she makes new ones later, but they have no color. Which, again, it's a great Jedi, but is it?
I think it's like it's just the pure Jedi. I don't think it's the gray Jedi. I think it's pure Jedi, which I think is, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Well, I think that's just, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Go on with something else.
I don't know what other white lightsabers we see, and a lot of people theorize about colors and what they mean and all that jazz, but I mean, sometimes you just want a purple lightsaber. Samuel L. Jackson wanted a purple lightsaber, but again, sometimes lightsaber colors are used for symbols. I don't know what yellow means for Rey. I think that's kind of fan servicey, but whatever. But it just like shows Ahsoka's growth, and like the way she acts in Rebels is it's more akin to her season 7 self than it is to the first 6 seasons of Clone Wars, or I guess 5. Yeah.
I think I'm more understanding now of, especially as a kid, you hear Yoda say that line. Sorry, I just picked up my train of thought, but you hear Yoda say that line to Anakin, like, all that you fear to lose, except that you might lose it, which I think kind of comes to now what I think it means to be a true Jedi is change, which I think is something that we can all learn about right there. But what it means to be a true Jedi, to me at least, is acceptance of, not only just acceptance of change, but willingness to change, willingness to move forward, to do whatever that means. Mace Windu wasn't exactly that willing to change. There was a lot of stubbornness there. And I guess you could say there was a lot of apathy among the rest of the Jedi Council. But I think when Yoda says, you must let go of everything you fear to lose, I think that just means be willing to let change affect you,
Yeah.
Because I feel like if Anakin were to honestly, actually just sit down, and as hard and as impossible as it would have been, because he did care about Padme, if he were to sit down and actually just breathe and find peace and some sort of zen with losing her, which is impossibly hard, but if he was able to, I think that he would have been able to find change,
And like by the
and
time
even find
Anakin,
a way to save her,
Yeah. By the time Anakin finds out he has children, he's already Vader. It's Vader who finds out that Anakin Skywalker had kids. But can you imagine if Anakin knew, like just before he turned, like just before Vader came alive, if he would have known that he had 2 children that were, gonna be alone and away, would he have switched? Would he have not fallen away? That's interesting.
Would they be his new servants? That's
Yeah.
an interesting idea.
If it was
Luke
Vader,
and Leia, if he did find out early enough, if he did find out, and then he raised them and trained them up along his side, oh my gosh.
but would he still be in the mindset of, I can overthrow him. We can make things the way we want them to be? Like, would that be the whole MO, or would he realize, these are my kids and I love them and I don't want them to be hurt. So I'm just gonna fly to Naboo, go on some random shack on the other side of the planet and just, live my life.
I think that's such an interesting idea. It's like where Anakin's right there with Padme. He's like, we can overthrow him. We can change this. We can make things exactly how we want them to be. But the minute Obi-Wan steps out, it reminds him, and I feel like it all comes rushing back of how the Jedi failed him, about how the Jedi failed the universe, really.
Yeah, and like just the Clone Wars just adds so much to Order 66. Like, of course, you get more of it in season 7, but like just getting to know each of the Jedi and then losing them, like, sure, they're not perfect, but Plo Koon, I think Plo Koon was pretty close to a Qui-Gon character. Like, he didn't talk much, and I don't know what his thought process was. And I wonder if he voted to have Ahsoka back. I'm sure he did, or if he voted against it, or maybe he voted against it because he knows the
Ahsoka,
Jedi aren't right for him, aren't right
because
for her.
he knew Ahsoka had a different arc, different path. I
Oh,
think that's really interesting.
dude, Plo is so cool. Oh no,
I wonder if he did survive somehow, and he was just a wandering old hermit.
dude,
That's just a,
he
just a
blew
star,
up.
that was just a starship crash.
He
Okay,
blew up.
Plo
Not
Koon could
only
have
did he
survived.
explode, getting shot, he hit into the building and
He crashed
pushed
into a kid on
things.
him. He just crashed into a kid on the Moria. It's fine.
Man.
Oh, it's fine.
And like Depa Balava, I wish we knew more about her. And
Ugh.
I wish we got more stuff with her and
There's some
Caleb.
comic book stuff I saw that was really interesting.
Yeah.
She's really cool.
And people they trash on the Ahsoka and Rafa arc in season 7, and I'm like, stop. Like, sure,
It's so necessary.
yeah, because it shows you it's a reminder of everything Ahsoka has learned, and it's showing you how she is now, just before she has to, fight flippin' Darth Maul and survive Order 66. It shows you who she is.
It's not that cool. It's not that exciting, but so are a lot of really necessary scenes in Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of get the argument of the third episode where they escape and they just get locked up again. I gotta watch it again because I remember seeing it and seeing everyone go, well, they just got locked up again. But I was like, they learned this, but I don't remember what that was. I just know that arc it's so important. Like it adds so much. It shows you what she's doing, and you get to see her making decisions without the influence of Anakin or anything. She's on her own, just like she was with the Trandoshans. But this time, she's got a different outlook. She doesn't have lightsabers. She's only got the Force and these new friends, which, who knows if she can trust them. I'm sure she trusted Trace, but she wasn't sure about Rafa.
To be
So,
fair, I hate when everyone's like screaming at Trace. I'm like, she's like 15, guys. She's 15. She dumped the spice. Are you really
yeah.
that
And
mad about that?
she built a ship. Why would she not be excited about that?
She's like, well, the problem is the spice. Got to get rid of the spice, then we can just leave, right? She didn't know how big of a deal the Pikes were. She was on course on it, dude.
Yeah, I want those people to think about their childhood and the stupid decisions they made. Then come back to me and tell me Trace is bad.
Okay, but hear me out, y'all. Ahsoka's only like 17 at the end of the Clone Wars. You know how nuts that is? She's younger than me. So whack.
Yeah, she's so young. And like the show, it just like the clones and everything are just so good. Like like I got hit hard with emotions when that when the music started playing and Rex was shooting at her and everything, I got slapped in the face. It
Oh,
was
that was awful.
so sudden
Amazing.
too. Like you knew it was happening.
Because that music, that entire time in the beginning of the
Yeah.
episode, you knew it was going to happen.
Oh man. And it's just terrible watching the Clone Wars and then watching them all die, which like if you just watch the movies you're like, oh no, the Jedi, but then you watch the Clone Wars, you're like, Plo Koon, no, or Kaida Mundi, no, or whatever.
Even Karen Mundy, who's kind of a douche, but whatever.
What do you mean he's a douche?
Are you kidding me? Do you
Have
not
you
remember
watched the
Geonosis
Geonosis
arc?
arc?
Exactly, the Geonosis arc.
I mean,
Karen
yeah, but
kind of a douche.
He's kind of a butt. But it's okay. Ayla Secura's sick though. The episode where Anakin's hurt and they have to like help her and she's just like, there, it's sick. I don't know why I like those episodes because
I want to
it's
see
just
some
so
Opal Ren Sissis in action. That's what I want to see. Give me some Slug Boy action.
dang, dude. Let's go. Are there any Kaminoan Jedi?
No. I mean, Yerel Poof's got a tall head, but he's not a Kaminoan.
Dude, can you imagine lanky boy walking up to you with a saber staff, just like, sup?
Not even a lightsaber, like a lightsaber pike.
Oh.
Or like a trident. Because, like, water. No.
Yeah.
Kit Fisto, though. Kit Fisto. He was just
Kit
that guy.
Fisto's sick.
Kit Fisto was just that
Fisto's
guy who smiled in Attack of the Clones. Like, that's all he was. And then we got the Clone Wars. And we're like, this guy's like Jamaican.
Aquatic
What is
boy.
this? Aquatic, like, what?
I love, what was I gonna say? Temple Guards. I want to know more about Temple Guards
I'm telling you,
because
dude. An Order 66, like, really intense, maybe not like rated MTV, like MA TV, like live action series. Like each episode is a different arc of different people in Order 66. Because then we get to see the Inquisitor and him betraying the other Temple Guards, and we get to see like that could be one story, and we get to see the Caleb Doom, or we get to see a little bit more in depth on all the different Jedi, like where Quinlan Voss was, which actually might be covered in the Ventress novel. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, obviously they look cool, but I just want to know more about them. Like, are they just normal Jedi that just kind of put a mask on for a bit and be guards? I'm not sure. Because Sindralig is the guy who teaches them, and he was in the Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith video game.
Well, Anakin, I think killed him.
Killed him. Well, yeah, because he's in the hologram.
Yeah.
He's in the hologram. Where Obi-Wan's like, I can't watch anymore.
Well, if you think about it, the Grand Inquisitor was one of the Inquisitors when Barriss Offee was charged, and and Ahsoka was charged as well, and because he saw her get improperly accused, he was like, "Oh, frick this."
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if I think Barriss Offee had to have been made an Inquisitor. Either that or the Emperor killed her.
Yeah, like I was surprised she wasn't in Rebels anywhere or Season 7. Like she didn't show up at all. She was just captured. Is she just
kind of like the Seventh Sister a little bit?
Yeah, but her markings are different.
I know. Like
I don't know, man. It's cool knowing that the Grand Inquisitor was a Temple Guard. Like that was cool finding that out in Rebels. Like, that was sick. But like I want a story about a Temple Guard who like survived, obviously.
Oh, I thought you meant, like while a Temple Guard. I'm like, that would not be that exciting of a TV show. Just while in the temple, just like I'm standing. Still standing.
What's up?
But like he's just like on the run and they're like like I've always liked the idea that there's a Jedi who maybe is not the strongest in the Force, but he's mastered like almost every form of combat. Like he's on a base level, like really good at all lightsaber forms, and the way he beats people is not that he's so good at one form, but the fact that he switches forms during fighting and throws people off. That always was cool to me. And just like imagine him with like the Temple Guard outfit, but he's got like clone armor on his left arm or something, or like some Mandalorian stuff like on his legs or whatever, or he's got like I don't know, man, like he's just on the run constantly. Like he can't get a break.
That would be really sick to see.
Oh, I just keep thinking about Ahsoka and like getting introduced to Mandalorian season 2, because after seeing Ahsoka's relationship with the Mandalorians in the Clone Wars, and finding out that the Mandalorian is finding out all this different stuff about pretty much just assuming that the Jedi are like this like weird like wizard cult thing that like fought the Mandalorians for a while, and then finding out that not only was she an ally, but she helped them take back their planet at one point. You know, I mean, that would be such a weird.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so exciting for that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
And like getting to find out where Yoda's species comes from and what they're called. Is George the one that's like coming up with that or what? Because I know he was on the set. He was on the set of The Mandalorian, so I'm sure Dave was like, George, what should we call him? And he's or whatever, or maybe they don't have a name. I don't know. Maybe the child's the last one.
Imagine if the Yoda were like I just want to call them the Yoda species, whatever. But like, imagine if they really were like the first of the Jedi. That's kind of enough, because that's why they're so force sensitive.
Yeah, because Baby Yoda, man, holds back an entire flamethrower, and he's a baby.
Oh gosh.
He already knows how to force heal. Like he has this innate, just like right off the bat, just knowledge of like what the force is. Oh, that's so interesting. It's so crazy, like seeing Yoda in the original trilogy, and then just like getting all the stuff he did in the Clone Wars, and then like now we have this other Yoda character other than Yaddle that like we don't know much about. Just so mysterious, and I wonder if once we figure it all out, that maybe they won't be as interesting. Seems like with a lot of things, they become less interesting once you finally know what they're all about.
It was revealed that Baby Yoda has an actual name, and we will find out in The Mandalorian season 2.
Sure he does, but like, where did he come from?
I know, like, there's so many things. I don't know.
I bet you anything their planet, like their home planet, would be something like, oh shoot, why did I just forget what it was called? The freaking like lightsaber planet.
Ilum?
Yeah, imagine if their planet was something like that, but it was like all green and jungly, and like the trees were made of like the trees had kyber inside them, or something.
Ooh. That and it's like Zeb's homeworld, the new world they find, and they have to go through that big old like wall of like solar of cosmic stuff, and they have to. It's like a storm, cosmic storm, because like Lasan got blown up, so they have to like find this new place, and it's like just like it's so hard to get to, and that's why no one knows where they're from because no one's been there. And how advanced is this species? Are they dead, or are they like living in like on Coruscant? Are they like just like villager people? Like who knows?
Yeah, are they like a peaceful people, or is like all of them are they all like force sensitive or whatnot?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I was watching the Obi-Wan Undercover arc recently with the box and stuff, and I realized what one of the bounty hunters was a Selkath, which are kind of these fish people, and those are from KOTOR. And Dooku says to the Selkath, he says, you know, once great were your people, and how far have they fallen, or something like that. That's such a reference to the Old Republic, because in the Old Republic, they live on Manon, and they are these people who harvest a medicine, like a Bacta Culto kind of thing, from the water and distribute it to the Sith Empire and the Republic, the Old Republic. And so they try to like keep things neutral between them, but they were like really high up there because they were so important. I just think if they're gonna do Old Republic, man, you're gonna have to like play by the book, because there are references in canon to the stuff that you've gotta hold on to. Anyway, that was off topic. That was very much off topic. I apologize.
No off-topic
It's all
questions.
good.
You open stuff.
We're always off topic. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, lovely.
It feels like all of our Star Wars videos always go back to the sequels somehow, but we haven't done that yet. I'm a little surprised.
You wait. Oh my gosh, guys! If Ahsoka is dead by the sequels, does that mean that she dies in The Mandalorian? No.
Frick. No, stop.
My question is, how the fetch is Rex still alive? Is
Aren't
he
those
there?
just rumors, though?
Yeah, but that was on Dave Filoni's Twitter page. It's like his cover photo. It was concept art. It was just concept art, but still,
Yes.
Filoni. How is he still alive? He'd be
Was
so
that
old.
concept for Rebels, or?
I don't know. I don't know.
Dude, Rex, I don't want to say he's underrated, but like Rex and Ahsoka are like it's just sad that the mainstream Star Wars fans don't know about them yet. That's what's sad to me, is that there's these great characters that people don't really know about because it shows only.
Nicholas, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think it was interesting that they were like, "Oh yeah, Rex was in the Endor thing," and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's sick."
It made sense.
Yeah, it made sense and it was way cool. And then I liked how like, at the end of Rebels they made comments to it and how it was like, "Oh yeah, Rex was at the Battle of Endor." Same with Hera, and I was like, "That's cool." But here's another thing: is we saw the ghost in the sequel trilogy at the end. Like it's in the fleet. So like could like Hera and Jason, is it Jason? I think it's Jason.
Yeah.
Syndulla like come into play in the like there's so many characters, and the people behind the Mandalorian have so much access to stuff that like it's going to be amazing whatever they choose, but I think it's so much responsibility. And but the greatest part about it is they don't have to worry so much about it, because whatever they pick is just it's going to be great. Because if they put in Ahsoka, that'll be really really cool because we get to learn more about her. If they don't put in Ahsoka but they put in like Rex, and then they like learn later that Ahsoka is off on a trying to help the Mandalorian figure out where this kid goes, and then they like the final episode or whatnot, they finally meet Ahsoka. Like even that would be sick. Or like, or maybe they add like a, like a different character. I don't know. Like there's so much that they could do, and they have so much access to things because they've set themselves up so well that like the sky isn't the limit. Like they have the entire galaxy that they get to play with.
Yeah, I watch a guy called Hello Greedo. He's just a Star Wars channel, and he's almost the complete opposite of Star Wars Theory, where Star Wars Theory loves the prequels, loves seeing characters like come back and stuff, because I mean we all love that. But Hello Greedo, he's always talking about how he does not want old characters to show up in The Mandalorian because he loves like the new characters. And I totally get that, but also like, dude, Ahsoka and Boba Fett, like I I understand that maybe they brought a lot of characters back alive. Not well, if you bring them back alive, they were never dead. But the sense of bringing them back to life, like Darth Maul and all that jazz. But freaking Boba Fett, like the dude didn't get enough in the movies, and all his coolness came from the comics, which aren't canon anymore, and also like Jango Fett's super cool too, and I want to see more of him because he's super sick, and I don't know, man.
I think what they're gonna do with Ahsoka is they're gonna make like she will be setting up something like some kind of quote unquote Jedi Order, something similar to that or something.
I'm sure she'll be interested in Baby Yoda.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think what will happen is the Mandalorian will turn Baby Yoda over to her.
Yeah,
I
but
think
she will-
that's
I
what's going
don't.
to
I
happen.
do not think she will try to set up a new order because Luke's already doing that at this time.
No, I know, but I think that the Mandalorian will turn Baby Yoda over, and then maybe I don't know, maybe she meets up with Luke or something.
Yeah, how long does it take Luke to do that? Like, if he does it immediately or at least shortly after Return of the Jedi, that means should be Jedi running around, right?
9 years, so we'd at least have something by now.
Yeah, or did the First Order kill them? Or something, like, you're super quiet, Ryan.
Another thing we've got to figure out is they said that the First Order came out of the ashes of the Empire, but how quickly did that happen? Like in Star Wars Battlefront, you play as like Inferno Squadron, and you play after the Death Star is blown up, so you get to see what the Empire was doing for a little bit, but then the rest of the Empire is snuffed out by the rebellion, and we get to see that at like the Battle of Jakku.
Yeah.
And then like it ends, and then it starts up the next campaign, and it's like, oh yeah, Kylo Ren and the First Order are here, and it's like, but where? What happened?
And where was the New Republic? What were they doing? Why is the Resistance there? That's what I don't get.
Like it just seemed like the New Republic was just like a political thing. Like it didn't seem like at all useful. Like they were sending like a nice little paycheck to them every now and then, and they're like, "Oh, here you go. Good job. You're doing great. Here's a little paycheck. Keep fighting the good fight." When it's like, "No, no, no. You're the New Republic. You're supposed to like be alongside of us like the entire time and like helping destroy and snuff out the First Order and the Empire."
From a political standpoint, you could see why they'd be very hesitant to create a large republic after what happened to the last republic. So you can see why they'd be arguing for, I mean, compared to today's politics, they'd be arguing for a smaller government, so that there wouldn't be a huge takeover. I mean, that's exactly what the American Revolution was, worried about it becoming an empire again. That's why in the formation of America, a lot of people are arguing they did not want a large government because that is exactly the problem with other governments. I mean, Alexander Hamilton brought up a lot of points that were saying we should build up a government. So when you're talking about the New Republic, you can see why maybe they'd be hesitant considering the last republic that happened, to make a big, powerful one with a lot of force. Granted, they were wrong and it failed regardless, but you can see why they'd be hesitant.
Yeah, and like, it's interesting because it's interesting to think about the republics in the Clone Wars ideals versus the separatists, because the separatists are technically the rebels, but they were under the control of Sith. But so was the Republic. But the Republic, like their intentions they're trying to like get rid of like gangsters and stuff. They want to, take over Tatooine because they don't want the Hutts running it because the Hutts are slavers and they're making profit and they're ruining people's lives. And the Republic's like, oh, we can help. And then the Separatists are like, well, that's not a good way to help or whatever. And then they start fighting and then they start trying to take control of planets because they don't want their ideals spreading. It's like trying not to spread communism. So they're like, oh no.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
we
exactly.
don't-
Like, if the separatists weren't led by the people that they were led by, a lot of the core worlds that were with them, they would have been a good movement, Perhaps
Yeah.
not as violent as they would have been, with a lot of the war that occurred after, with a lot of the needless, like Wat Tambor, and a lot of the other groups that were leading them. But like the Techno Union, but like if a lot of those leaders weren't at the head of it with as much power as they had, I think the separatist movement might have been a good idea considering how bad the Republic was at that point.
There were too many flaws in the way that the Republic came about, and not flaws in the way the Republic came about, but there was just they became complacent, like what Dooku said. Like they let things slide that shouldn't have slid. Like the Jedi were keepers of the peace, not soldiers. Well, the reason you were soldiers is because you weren't keeping the peace.
Got him.
Okay. This is going to change the subject entirely, but I have to say something. Jason Singula should not look like he does.
No, he shouldn't. No.
He should look like a Twi'lek.
Because of the
Think
clone.
about the clone. Exactly, the clone
Yeah.
trooper. It's obviously showed which traits. I mean, not to get into the gory details, but like which genetic traits would be more overpowering than the others. And I think the Twi'lek traits would be more overpowering than the human ones. Just saying. Just like he should not look like that with what? Green hair? No, he should look
At
like
least
a Twi'lek.
like skin color.
At least skin color.
Or even the kid, like the clone's kid, Jack, he had like little spots on his face. Like they weren't all different color. Like he had human color spots on his face, but they were like mixed in with the other stuff.
You should look more like a Twi'lek, is all I'm saying.
And he didn't have the little kid, the little boy didn't have his didn't have the, what are those things called?
The horns, the ear
Are they
nubs,
horns?
they look like horns to me.
I mean,
They're
they look
male.
like horns, but are they
Headtails?
classified as horns?
Does Aayla Secura have horns?
This is a
Oh,
question.
gosh.
But like he didn't really have those things. They weren't super long. I don't know. He was wearing a hat, so I don't remember, but
He should just teach. I just don't think he should look the way he looked. Just like, not to get into genetics, but like, I mean, it is Star Wars, but like, he shouldn't have looked like that.
it was
I mean, they
thoroughly
showed it.
interesting.
They showed it after, and I was like, okay, what?
Yeah, that actually, well, the Jack kid, he actually has human skin color, but he has head tails.
Oh, he
But
does.
the girl looks Twi'lek, but she has splotches of human coloring on, or I guess Caucasian coloring on her skin. Clone skin color.
Jango Fett's Mediterranean, Italian, Latino,
New Zealand thing.
New Zealand skin tone. What do you call someone who's from New Zealand? 'Cause,
New
like,
Zealander?
I have ancestors from there. Is it New Zealander? I don't like that.
I believe it's New Zealander.
I think you're right.
I could be totally wrong here, and that is totally
Yeah.
fine because
think you're
most of the
right.
time I'm wrong.
I think you're right. Anyways, that's my.
They're Kiwi people.
They're
Oh,
Kiwi
yeah.
people?
yeah.
That's
That's right.
sick. I like that.
Kiwi.
Oh yeah, because my grandma's got part Kiwi.
I'm straight up gonna move to New Zealand.
Dude, I love New Zealand accents. They're hilarious.
My grandma was actually, my grandma Bowman. She was like born and raised there. Not born, but like, she was raised.
Dude, Taika Waititi's the best.
Taika Waititi's my hero.
Wait, who is he?
He's Korg.
How do you not know
Oh,
who Taika
yes.
Waititi is? Directed for
He's-
Ragnarok.
I
directed
don't-
He's
Mandalorian.
Hitler.
I don't
Hitler.
know like a lot of celebrity names. Like if you tell me who they played, then I know who they are, but I'm real bad, let me tell you what.
Oh, dude, remember when we met Boba Fett, baby
Yeah,
Boba
when
Fett?
you guys met Boba Fett.
That was the.
Yeah, that was the best.
I'm
He
gonna I'm gonna tell this story just because it's so funny.
totally did.
So, we're at Salt Lake Comic Con, or I guess you have to call it FanX now because it's somehow copyrighted. Um, and we were kind of walking around, and we thought we'd go over and look at all the actor booths and just see who's here and all that stuff. I mean, you could look online, but we wanted to like go and just kind of see. And we noticed that how am I forgetting his name?
Oh shoot, I'd have to look at the
No,
picture.
no, no. I know his name. I know his name. I know his name. What's Daniel Logan? Okay. Jeez. So we're looking around and we see that Daniel Logan's line is extremely short. And
There
we're
was
just
one person there
yeah, there's like a family and like
with a baby. You can't
yeah,
forget that.
yeah. So we go up to the line and it was kind of just on a whim. We were just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, we're not gonna buy an autograph because we don't have money, but
They were like $40 a thing.
yeah, we'll just say hi. I didn't really know what to talk about to him either. I just like, I don't know.
It
So
was just cool.
we just get up there and we kind of walk up to the table. We're like, "What's up?" And he's like, "What's up, fellas?" And he's in his
Well, this
Kiwi
was
accent.
after like 10 minutes of him just talking to the baby.
No, that was after.
Was
That
that
was
after?
yeah. Hold on. So.
Oh yeah.
We
That's right.
talked. He had his Boba Fett helmet on the table, and we kind of talked about that, and that was cool. And he's like, and we were like, yeah, we weren't really like doing anything. He's like, hey, you guys want a picture? And we're like, wait, what? And he's like, don't we have to pay for those? He's like, oh no, it's fine, I'll do it for free. And we're like, sick.
His
So
secretary gave us the stink eye though.
his assistant like looked at us just kind of shook her head, and he
I was
put
like,
us
yeah.
he put us in his booth. Like the booth had like two like sections or something. I don't know. It was weird. And he just kind of put us in there, and then he turns around and there's his family behind us, and they had a baby in like a stroller, and for the next 10 minutes he made faces with the baby, and he just like played peekaboo with it and stuff. It was so funny, and he just like it was awesome, and he didn't really like talk to the family or the parents either. He just kind of like messed around with the baby the whole time. It was it was so funny. We were just sitting there awkwardly, like, oh, I mean, we could just go. Like, I don't think he's gonna take the picture. And then he like turns around after a bit, and he's like, "Oh, sorry guys, it's my ADHD and stuff." And like he like takes the picture with us. I think his assistant took the picture, and
Yeah. I
took
was
like
just looking at it.
one or two pictures or something, and he did different poses, and he's like, we just said thanks, and he's like, all right, bye, and it was sick. Like, we didn't have to pay, and he just like gave us a picture. The only payment was our time, which was 10 minutes watching him play with the
Which
baby.
was totally worth it.
Oh, for sure, it was hilarious. I loved it.
It was so good. Like I've talked with like some actors and stuff before, and they're pretty cool, but I've never had like an experience like that before where they're just chilling. They're like, oh yeah, I'm just here for a good time, and I think what was funny is a Fan X like a year before that, Zachary Levi was there. Well, he was there for a little bit, and I was like, and my brother was like, hey, let's go check out Zachary Levi and stuff. And so like we went to go over there, and his like assistant person was like, oh sorry, he just went to a pizza party. And we were like, oh,
Dang.
missed him by like 2 minutes to a pizza party.
Dude, wish I had a pizza party.
I know. I think it was some kid's birthday party too. I don't even know.
Honestly, like, Daniel Logan may not be old enough to play Boba Fett in The Mandalorian, but at least put him under this suit for like one shot or something. He's got his own suit. Like, he had someone, or he did it. I don't remember. I just know
I thought
on
someone
it.
gave it to him.
someone made it, or he made it. Like he was just like posting on Instagram, every time he got like a new piece, and then he finally completed the set, and it looked great. It looked amazing, and it just made me think, oh, I want to see him in the suit. Like, of course you can't see him in the suit, but I just want to know that at least he was able to put it on and do a scene or something, or do a show like during or a little bit after the Clone Wars when he's that age, because he doesn't have the growth acceleration. So like when he's that age, doing bounties and stuff, running around with Bosk and Dengar and Forlom and IG-88. Because dude, bounty hunters are so cool. They're so cool. Maybe we could see how freaking Aura Singh dies. We could see Beckett again and see him, quote unquote kill her by pushing her off whatever I don't know what he did, but I also love in Solo how they reference Bosk. Like they're talking about when they're hiring Han, they're talking about like who else can we get? Like why do we have to pick up Han and this Wookiee? Like what about Bosk? Or she says another name, or I think she says Aura Singh. Maybe I don't know. I don't remember what conversation that was.
Is Aura Singh the one that's the one with the long ponytail and she's got like pale skin?
Yeah, with the antenna.
Yeah.
She was in the Phantom Menace. She was watching the Mos Espa race, the Bunta Eve.
Cyborg?
So.
Because in Legends she was a cyborg. Is she actually a cyborg?
She might
I'm sure she has implants. Like I'm sure she just got like some enhancements.
Probably.
Which it's so funny when people just cut her antenna. Like she's like using it to contact people, and they're like, "Nope."
Yeah, it's like if somebody just like suddenly like put a cork in your mouth, and you were just like, "Bro, why?"
What? Dude, I want. Oh my gosh, Star Wars 1313 was a game planned to be about Boba Fett on Coruscant, and he was going to be running around with Heisinger and Bosk and freaking Embo. Embo is underrated. Embo is so cool.
Sick.
That guy.
It's like Embo is like a samurai thing.
And
guy.
Suki.
Wow.
Do you guys remember Suki?
Yeah, she's got the vibro knife.
Yeah, and cool. she's so like honorable. Like when Hondo's like, whatever they're paying you to protect their harvest, I'll double it. And she's like, no, I already made a deal with them. I'm not breaking my deal. I never break deals. Which like Cad Bane would definitely have taken up Hondo's offer. He would have dropped those farmers like freaking stuff. He would have taken up that double money any day of the week because he's freaking Cad Bane.
What would you have?
Well, Cad Bane's the reason there's the dent in Boba Fett's helmet.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that made. That'd be
it was a Clone Wars episode, and it was in the making, but it just never went.
I hope they make like a side, like maybe.
Well, they said they were going to, or at least mention something about
like
it.
Not another season, but just like side missions. Like here's the story of Boba Fett and what he was doing. And because watching those unfinished things about Boba Fett and Cad Bane, there's like a divide in the bounty hunters. Like there's some that are sided with Boba, and there's some that aren't. Like I think Bosk or Embo like betray him or something, and they're just like they're siding with Cad Bane. Like I want to see a divide between the bounty hunters. Like that would be so cool because they're all so good at what they do.
Civil War. Civil War,
bounty hunter. Star Wars bounty hunter.
Civil War.
Oh, that man. If only. Well, it's been an hour. Should we end it?
been an hour.
Final thoughts?
Um, blood is red,
Red.
but at night it can become reed.
I think
I
that's
don't,
a perfect place
I
to
don't,
end it.
I don't know
Scorpions.
what that. I don't know what that meant.
Scorpions are bioluminescent, so if you cut open a glow stick and put it on your hands, they'll come to you.
I don't think that's okay.
Okay, that's enough of that. I hope if
Justin,
any of
what's
you
your
are
last
listening,
thought?
what's my last thought?
Yeah.
This salsa I'm eating is really spicy. Um, I hope all of you that are listening or watching are doing well. If any of you are, but stay fresh, stay Gucci. These are really bad. These are old. Stay. Hey, be excellent to each other. Party on,
I
dudes.
can't believe they're making a third one.
Dude, I know. I love Bill. I watched it yesterday.
We watched it yesterday too.
It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Whoa, dude. Bogus.
Okay, Justin, I just sent you a meme. We should probably sign off because it's really funny.
Yeah, All right, I'm stopping the recording. Bye-bye.